Okay, today we're going to work on my grade 7 practical applied arts assignment, and I call this the window house. And not really sure if it's a house, but here we go. We're going to get R for rectangle. We're going to start at our origin. We're going to click release. We're going to drag our mouse out, and we're going to place it again. And there's our rectangle for our base. We're going to get our P for push pull. We're going to click on that surface, drag it vertical again, and we're going to place it. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to zoom out a little, and I'm going to orbit, and there we go. We're now going to get our arc tool. So A for arc, that's a 2-point arc. We're going to click on this end. We're going to go in a little bit. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And we're going to go straight vertical. If you're having a hard time going vertical, just hit the down arrow on your keyboard, and that should inference lock it. And we're just going to go till it snaps to a half circle. So there we go. There's our half circle. We're going to click again. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to push pull again. And we're going to push that arc all the way across. And we could try to line it up, but that's not going to be very accurate. When we go to erase our line from our roof, we're going to end up erasing a whole wall. So what you want to do is take that tip of the red arrow and line it up with that back edge or that back corner somewhere that's in line with that. And now it's going to be perfectly aligned. So now we're going to get our eraser tool, so E for eraser, and we're going to erase those end lines, orbit around, and this is where, if it wasn't lined up, you'd erase that whole wall. And that would be a good tip for you. Okay, next thing we're going to do, this one gets a little tricky, and I'm just going to push this front wall back because that looks a little bit different than what I'm imagining it to look like. And so here we go. We're going to move this front line, this corner down, and we need to make sure that that's straight vertical move. So we're going to get our M for move tool. We're going to click on the line. We're going to hit the down key, and let's try the up key. There we go. So you just need to move it, lock it to the blue axes. We're just going to move that down a bit so we get a bit of a slope. It's going to form our roof of this crazy building. And as much as I love this person right here, we're just going to select her and then backspace to get rid of her. Okay, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to zoom on in. And if you have a hard time zooming, you can also just go Shift W, and that's a shift window, and we're going to shift window so we can see this corner a little better. There. Next thing we're going to do now is we're going to type C for circle. So somewhere near this corner, we're going to click. We're going to drag that out. That's going to be the outside of our window. Now we need to make concentric circles. So that means using the same center point. We're going to drag it out. And there's our other one. Now we're going to introduce you to the paint bucket. So B for bucket. And we have these stock colors here, but what's more fun is if you go into the more specific patterns that are here. So we're going to get into these specific patterns. We're going to get something like, you don't want to go with really dark, so we could go with colors for this, but just to keep it more fun, I'm going to go with a wood border, which is kind of neat. Not entirely realistic, but there we go. We got a wood pattern. And then we always want to place the middle one with our glass, so under glass and mirrors. And I really like this one because it still shows through and you can see the inside of the building and so on. There we go. Okay, so we've made our first window. Now the issue is with this that it's when we select it, only one part of it is selected. So we need to triple click it. And you notice then that the wall is selected. Well, we don't want that either. So one way that you can select only specific items is that you draw a box around it. And anything that's completely inside that box, so you go top left to bottom right, will be selected. If you go the opposite direction, then you'll notice that anything that touches that box is selected. So here we go. We're just going to select everything inside that circle, the window, and there we go. Now we're going to type G, which is to create a component. We're going to leave it as the default. Just call it component 1, any, works great, and just say OK. Next thing that we're going to do then is we're going to zoom out. And we've had a little bit of glitching lately with this in our class, but that's okay. Seems to resolve itself as we move along with the assignment. We're going to now try to copy this. So we're going to go M, and there's our move tool. We hit Control, and we get a little black plus symbol by it, and that means it's now copy. So we're going to copy this all the way over, close to that end. Try to make it look even. Looks good. Place it, and this is an array. So if you change your view or anything, this whole sequence needs to happen all at once, and if it doesn't, if you change your view or anything like that, then it kills the sequence and you have to recopy and start again. So we're just going to go then divide, and we're looking at our measurements bar down here to see that. Divide, and we're going to divide that space into, well, I think we can fit about 8, so I'm going to go divide 7. Sorry, I think we can divide that into 8, and so yeah, which will give us 7 windows. There we go. That looks good. Maybe could have fit one more, but that's all right. Okay, now that we've got those there, we're going to get our space bar, get our select tool. We're going to hold Control, and we're going to multi-select. You can see that we're multi-selecting as we go. We could also be painting the walls and everything right now, which isn't a bad idea, but we're going to do that a little later here. So now we've got those selected. We're going to get our move and then Control for copy. We're going to copy all of these straight up, and we're going to repeat that once again. You see it says on face, which is what we want. So now we're going to divide 2, and that should give us 1 row in between. Enter. There you go. All right, so we could do the same thing again. We want to get these windows up onto the roof. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to get my hand tool or pan tool, which is H, and we're just going to click and drag that down so I can see the roof and that front wall. So we're going to get our space bar once again, and we're going to hold Control. We're going to select all of the windows that we want to copy up, and we're going to try this. Sometimes it glitches a bit and can't really get it to work quite right, but I have a strong inkling that it's going to work this time. We could also draw a box around this, but sometimes you risk selecting items that might be behind, like some short wall lines and things like that. So this is kind of the safe way of doing it. We're going to hit Control again, move Control. We're going to copy this. So I'm just going to grab onto this corner. We're going to place it up, and it should automatically tip to that roof. There we go. Now, you might notice that there's still some more space up here. So while those are still selected, I'm going to Control again for copy. And I'm just going to copy another row up. Come on, little fella. Flip. There. If you are struggling with that, you can change your orbit, and usually that does fix it. Now, we might have some windows that are going inside that roof, so I'm not really a fan of that. I'm just going to move these down a bit. And there we go. You can also see that there's something inside of here that we don't really want. Well, there's something called X-ray, and if you go to this search tool, you can type in X, and we can turn the X-ray on. The other thing you can do is you can set your own shortcuts. So just click in this box right here, we type X, and now that's our shortcut forward. And I'm just going to show you what that might look like. So I'm just going to click here, and then I'm going to type X, and we can see inside. Now we can select those windows that we don't want, and we can get rid of them. We can backspace them, and then we can just turn our X-ray back off. Okay, now that we have our windows up here, it's looking a little goofy, but just for this demonstration, we'll leave that. Next thing that we want to do is I'm going to go Control-Shift-E again, get everything into view. Maybe let's paint everything. So let's go with a B. And like I said, this could have been done pretty much any time. I'm going to go with roofing. Let's go. That's kind of a style I would never see around here. So let's put that on. That looks cool. Like a clay roof, or maybe this one. There we go. Yeah, I like that a lot better. Now we're going to go back. We're going to find some siding over brick. There we go, brick cladding and siding. And I think something that would go with that is maybe a bit more like this color. Might be too brown, but there we go. Okay, Now we're going to put some windows down this side. So we can either copy one of these, or the other option is that if you go over to your components in the panel, side panel, then and you click on the house, anything that are components in the model then will be there. So I'm just going to place one. I'm then going to get move copy. I'm going to zoom out a bit. And I'm going to, oh, come on, man. I'm going to copy that again down to this corner. And I'm going to do another erase. So divide, 7, enter. There's our windows. Now we need to change these windows a bit. So we're going to edit one. We're going to push pull. There we go. We're going to pull those edges of the window out. So that should work a lot better. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the roof ones a little bit different. I'm just going to get rid of this panel, side panel. We're done with that for the moment. So once again, it's kind of annoying, and maybe we should have done this when these were all selected before. Now that we've selected all these roof windows, we're going to make those unique. So there's things we're going to change to those that we don't want affecting the others. So we right click or double tap on your trackpad, and we're going to find make unique. There's make unique. So now any change we make to these shouldn't change the others. So we're going to edit one of the roof ones, and we're going to see how that works. So here we go. I'm going to zoom on in. And we're going to get our line tool. We're going to draw a line. We're going to make some shades on these. So there's a line, and you can see that already that there's what I'm doing to one of these is doing to all the on edge. Now let's see this work. There we go. And now we've got some shades. And if we go Control-Shift-E, all of the roof ones should have that. We hit our space bar, click off to the side, and that is the finished window house project. So I'm just going to shift that again, and you can see that. Now if you go to print, we just go to our print icon, so Control P, or you can go to the 3 lines in the corner, and I think it'll look better with a white background. And you notice that we've got those axes there. So before we print a PDF, we should go back and remove those axes. So we're going to cancel this. We go back to the glasses, and we're turning off our axes. And when we go back to print, everything should look perfect for printing. And that is the window house.